now typically CAs are not known for all these cultural activities. Is it a conscious choice या फिर it just happened naturally with you?
A chartered accountancy degree does not mean that you would only do accounts or finance. I think the other definition or a full form for a CA could be can do anything.
Typical problem today's generation, right? Short-term memory, short-term recognition, instant gratification. CA बनने का कैसा सोचा?
I wanted to be always staying science and wanted to be a doctor till standing 9. It would be difficult to continue with co-curricular activities, and I took up commerce, and I'm very happy today that I'm a chartered accountant.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Beyond the Degree. Joining us on this episode is a special friend. I met him for the first time in 2018. How and why, we'll come back to that in a little while from now. He's an anchor, a choreographer, a mentor to more than 1 lakh CA aspirants who are possibly CAs today, a lawyer, and on top of that, a chartered accountant. Please help me in welcoming CA Rades to this episode of Beyond the Degree. Hi Rades, welcome over here.
Thank you so much. I think so happy and a pleasure to be a part of this conversation today, and especially with you.
So is it a dream come true that you're on this episode with me over here?
Absolutely, absolutely. I was waiting for this.
All right, perfect. Thanks Rades for joining us over here. Rades, मुझे ये बताओ, now typically CAs are not known for all these cultural activities.
Correct.
But you are more known for those activities than for being a chartered accountant.
Correct.
Is it a conscious choice या फिर it just happened naturally with you?
So for me, I think it's very naturally that I've been like this since my early age school time. And I've always believed that a degree should not, possibly stop you from doing everything. A chartered accountancy degree does not mean that you would only do accounts or finance. It just allows you to explore a lot of things. I think, the other definition or a full form for a CA could be can do anything.
Wow.
That you can do everything.
That's something interesting and new. So, well, I understand a lot of CAs today, of course, aspire to be in consulting, in entrepreneurship as well, and they also go on to be in businesses. But anchoring, choreographing, soft skills is not a CA forte.
Correct.
What's your take on that?
Absolutely. So for me, it has always been since very early school days, I have been on stage. So for me, it was always like a co-curricular activity. It's just that as time passed, that co-curricular activity also became a part of my profession, and I started enjoying it. But for me, I think it has always been, I would not want to be a full-time choreographer or a full-time anchor, because I think for me, if I do that one thing, I'll get bored by it as well. And so I prefer to do many things.
So the typical problem today's generation, right? Short-term memory, short-term recognition, instant gratification.
Yes, absolutely.
एक ही चीज बार-बार करोगे तो बोर हो
Bore हो
जाओगे.
जाओगे.
But let's go back to the life cycle that you're talking about. Okay, you were interested in co-curricular activities and all that in school.
Correct.
CA बनने का कैसा सोचा आपने? How did CA come into your life?
I think CA was, again, I wanted to be always staying science and wanted to be a doctor till standing 9.
Okay.
And possibly, I think it was only because of co-curricular activities that I took up commerce. So I realized possibly that if I wanted to become a doctor along with my science, it would be difficult to continue with co-curricular activities, as a lot of people, a lot of seniors suggested that time. And I said, I'm not going to leave co-curricular. And I took up commerce, and after commerce, if you're good in studies and coming, typically from a Gujarati family, I would say, CA was like
commerce is part of what we do.
Absolutely. So I think CA would just happen in flow, and I'm very happy today that I'm a chartered accountant, because I think even if I had done some other profession course, maybe even a doctor, I would have taught aspiring doctors maybe, because that is something, stage was always something which I have liked early age.
So mentoring and helping people has been part of your nature over there. So as CA जब शुरू करा था, I know you scored a rank in your foundation.
Yes.
Tell us something more about your CA journey.
I think for me, the entire CA journey was an amazing experience. I hear a lot of students maybe cry over or a crib over, that they're facing a hard time. It could be doing studies or it could be doing articleship. Of course, because the course curriculum is such that because you're trying to do multiple things at that particular time, and because you're trying to manage college, studies. But I think I have thoroughly enjoyed that process, because I think whatever we are today, that degree and that 5 years or those 5 years is something that has made us.
I absolutely agree with you that those 3-4 साल जो हम मेहनत करते हैं,
Correct.
उसका रिजल्ट आज मिलता है, but that years were very strugglesome. मुझे पता है college, then office, and then classes.
Classes,
That
exactly.
was the typical schedule from 7 in the morning till 9 in the night.
True.
But the fact is, उसके बाद भी हम सिर्फ 5-6 घंटे सोते थे, पूरा दिन निकालते थे. And we used to do that for almost 3 years. We never felt burnt out. But the story is very different today. People want work-life balance and all of that. Do you believe that it's because of the changing generation or changing mindset of the generation?
I would want to emphasize on the changing mindset of the generation, because I think a lot of people today look around and start living their life. So the mindset gets created because it's again कि मेरे नेबर ऐसे कर रहे हैं इसलिए मैं भी करूँ, those typical lines of शर्मा जी के बेटे ने क्या करा है. So I think it's more about mindset of the generation rather than just the generation, because you'll still find today a lot of students happily doing multitasking, including managing college, co-curricular activities, studies, office, everything, and most importantly, they're still happy.
True.
So that's something most important.
It's also a fact that a lot of people want to aspire and achieve success at a very fast pace.
True.
CA takes its time to heat itself and to give it the result. 3-4 साल लग जाते हैं.
Correct.
Of course, I remember my back days that college miss करना पड़ता था. I think eventually I know I attended college only 10-20% of time सिर्फ exam देने जाता था. That is one regret that the CA course has for me is that your college life की बारे में जो बात करते हैं, जो हम बॉलीवुड फिल्मों में भी देखते हैं, that goes for a toss one somewhere. But I think and unfortunately CA curriculum does not give you the chance to enjoy that a lot.
Correct.
Do you think that's changing somewhere today? Because I know the generation before us typically used to start the CA curriculum post graduation.
Post-graduation. So I think a lot of students, so if I have to look at myself personally, I still was able to go to college and enjoyed everything across in college as well, including all the activities. I think I'm just a little fortunate enough to get.
So I used to bunk my college and go to NM and attend odd events out there. So I'm pretty popular for that. But anyways, go ahead.
So I was a part of all the activities, including I headed a couple of those committees during the college as well. So I think that was amazing time. No doubt, there was always something that I wanted to do more. And I always had my CA classes or maybe articleship that I couldn't do as compared to other colleges. But I don't think that I have a regret today. So I think it's a personal choice that every student makes. So typically, I don't really think that even after I slept 6 hours, maybe, or maybe 5 hours, or sometimes 7 hours, that was ever a day that I did not want to go to a college or did not want to go to a class. If you look at today, a lot of students would be I don't want to go to a class or something of that sort because we are burnt out. So I think it's more about an individual and what is your possibly your close friend circle is how. I think that is something which
so
is
that's how energy also used to come for us, and we used to remain energetic irrespective of all of that to keep doing that grind every time.
True. So as you rightly said just before this, that the morning college, daytime office and the evening class, I think we look forward to those evening classes that okay, we're going to meet everybody, and I think for me that was something
that
the
was
best
something
time.
that
Absolutely.
you enjoyed out there. So 3 साल articleship and all that, a lot of people also complain about कि articleship में सीखने नहीं मिलता है,
Correct.
stipend कम मिलती है.
True.
What's your take on that? What was your experience like?
I think my first stipend was like 1,000 rupees.
Okay, that was the minimum requirement.
That
by
was the minimum
CIs, so
requirement,
वो
and that is what at that point in time. But again, so money was never thought about that. Acha, I wanted to get into a firm where maybe 5,000 milne wala hai, 10,000 milne wala hai. Of course, I agree that there'll be always some population or some students who are hard pressed for money. They would want to earn more to support their family. We look at a lot of students who need that support. I understand that. But otherwise, I think an articleship period is a time where you're actually not just learning, maybe not audit, not tax, but you're grooming yourself as a personality. I think every CA aspirant or anywhere other courses also, the moment we're doing internship, it's not just about learning that particular thing, but grooming and having that entire experience. I think that is something was important for me always. So yeah.
So where did you do your articleship, and did you have a mentor in your office who helped you in those initial days?
Absolutely. So I think I remember my first articleship place again. So I've done my articleship from all the small size firms. I would say small to mid size firms. And I remember apart from the first proprietor partner, my principal sir, there was a CA employee who was there. He was the one who used to guide us throughout, right from how to file an income tax return because it was handmade,
At that
handwritten
time, at those times.
absolutely
And we
in
complain about Infosys today, but
exactly. And even possibly when we went to an audit and how to make a query sheet, I look at today's kids and they'll carry a laptop and everything is software. I think we never did that doing articleship. It was in a full
all
scape and making those files.
True.
And he actually, at every time we made that query sheet of what to be seen and what to not see, or possibly how we can finish those files, he actually taught us. And I think I'm fortunate for that, for each of my principal.
And I think that's the beauty of the course as well, right? That the CA curriculum has some CA who's helping you in your early stages somewhere, which you do not normally find in any other curriculum somewhere.
True.
And it's in their benefit eventually, but we do that. So that's a very important question when you mentioned that okay, you did your articleship from small firm.
Correct.
The debate is always there: small firm, mid-sized firm, big four. कहाँ से articleship करनी चाहिए? I started my first 2 years from a small firm, and then मैं big four में गया था last 1.5 year और. The debate is always there कि हमें articleship कहाँ से करनी चाहिए, कहाँ से सीखने मिलेगा या कहाँ पे stipend मिलेगी.
Correct.
There's always a debate on that.
True.
What's your take? कहाँ करनी चाहिए?
So I would say there's no blanket answer that like everybody should do from a big four, or everybody should do from mid-size or a small size firm. To each one on its own, I think every student needs to understand what is their life goals. While today, if you look at, we see a lot of Instagram reels or influencers, talk about that a particular thing, these things should have been taught in school, these things should have been taught in college, which is not taught. So at the age of 18, when a student is going to do an articleship, or an 18 or 19, he needs to understand what he or she wants to do. So for me, I ended up taking a small mid-sized firm, pure reason because the college was on, and I wanted to enjoy college. I wanted to continue my co-curricular activities.
The flexibility was there when you work with small, mid-sized firms.
Yes, and I was very specific in my interview at that point in time that I am a part of these 6 things in my college, and I would want to be a part of this always. And that is what the reason they had told, okay, we'll allow you as well. So a lot of students, what happened, they want to be a part of this, and then they join a firm where it is not going to allow, and then there's a clash, and then they become discontent. So I think students, everybody needs to understand what is that they are looking for in life. It is, and just say, the famous dialogue in a famous movie of Deepika Padukone from Ye Jawani Diwani, कितना भी कर लो जीवन में कुछ ना कुछ तो छूट ही जाएगा. So I think it is to each one to understand is what you want to do. And then I think what is more important that I need to learn from others' experience as well. If let's say a friend of mine was working in a big four and I'm not, I need to start talking to him that what things they are doing. I may not do, but I can always learn from him or her.
I think that's a very beautiful thought कि हम बहुत बार CA करते करते लोग discussing कि college life छूट जाती है. Somehow try and find a balance between everything so that you do not get exhausted or burnt out, setting the wrong expectation in the wrong places.
Correct.
You can't be number one everywhere.
True, very true.
Somewhere something has to be compromised so that the overall personality grooming happens out there. And that's a great thought in terms of that. So tell us more about now as a CA. किसी को बोलते हो कि कोरियोग्राफर डांसर या एंकरिंग करनी है एंड इंट्रोडक्शन में कोई सीए बोलता है इज दैट सपोज्ड टू बी ह्यूमरस और इज इट सपोज्ड सीरियस
No, I think it's always the moment I say that I'm a CA as well, they start asking, do you do audits, do you do tax? So वो वाला भी काम अपने पास ही आ जाता है.
So that's a smart way of placing your brand over here. But that comes to a very important point that today I think personal brand building has become very essential in almost every field, including for CAs.
Yes.
A lot of firms are known for a particular thing. चाहे वो करते 10 चीजें okay.
Correct.
But some partner or some assignment stands out.
Yes.
What's your take? Do you think CAs today need to start having a niche? पहले के ज़माने में ऑडिट टैक्स इंडायरेक्ट टैक्स सब कुछ एक ही फॉर्म में मिल जाता था नाउ दैट्स नॉट द केस फॉर मोस्ट ऑफ द फर्म्स व्हाट्स योर टेक ऑन दैट
So I think the most important aspect for this is collaboration. While your firm may do everything, what are you known for? That is something most important that you need to develop. It could be one or more than one, or it could be your nature as well. So a lot of times maybe you may be doing 5 things, but people will still come to you because of your nature, or maybe your attitude towards that. Or maybe you are a GST expert or a direct tax expert or an audit expert or anything of that sort. So I think becomes important that what is your niche, what is that brand that people can get associated, you with.
Interesting. So I think it's important for us to build and stand out today somewhere and build a narrative around that also. I think storytelling is very important in terms of where you talk about communication. True. And that also brings it to the important point that CAs are not very popular for their communication and soft skills and all of that. and that's where a lot of times MBA finances or engineers with analytical skills stand out because they do that in their curriculum phase. I know we have GMCS,
Correct.
but I've gone through GMCS and I'm not really impressed with what it was 10, 15 years back. I'm not sure how it works today. Do you think there is still scope for in terms of how the communication skills of CAs can be enhanced and better today?
Absolutely. So typically when we look at compared with other courses, those are typically a college course.
True.
Like let's say in an example in an MBA, a student spends those 7-8 hours every day with those other students together. A CA course is more of a distance education course where you're not spending that particular time. It's you keep on studying yourself and you just enroll with the institute. Okay. So I think in CA what happens is you have to individually make an effort and there is nothing compulsory. So a lot of activities, let's say an example, if I have to look at a lot of student activities, we call it the CASAs basically, the Chartered Accountant Student Associations of across ICAI in different region, in Western region being the Vikasa. They keep on organizing a lot of activities, but not everybody comes in, right? Because it's more of voluntary. So unless there is always a compulsory course a student goes in, I would say unfortunately the course is built in such a manner that a student has to himself take an effort that he would want to learn this. So most time what happens is a student seems ke acha let me finish my studies first and then बाद में जिंदगी पढ़िए, which is a little wrong thing because everything goes by phase, right? You can't learn communication just in 2 days.
Absolutely.
So I think for me also when I started, it was never that it was just in one day that you start improving. So as you rightly said, CAs are not typically good communicators. I think they need to meet both of us, right?
Possibly. That's a compliment. I'm going to take it at that.
Correct.
So हम जो बात कर रहे थे communications and all of that and building a niche, the curriculum of CA is also not updated at the fast pace as it should be.
Correct.
It gets updated, but it's catching on the trend instead of being part of the trend.
True.
So now जब काफ़ी चीज़ें बदल गई है उसके बाद ICI will wake up, it will take 2 years of consultation, उसके बाद roll out करेगा तब तक कुछ नया आ जाएगा.
Correct. True.
And also the fact that we still study 6-8 subjects.
Yes.
जबकि हम बात करें specialization की.
True.
Do you think the curriculum needs to now evolve to be more fast-paced and have optional subjects where I can specialize in something and I just need a working knowledge of something else? Does it need a complete overhaul और right now हम क्या कर रहे हैं जहाँ पे problem दिख रही है उसको हम tape कर रहे हैं फिर नई problem की तरफ डाल रहे हैं?
So I think primarily the entire course is always, structured in a manner that you are jack of everything. Okay. Right? The course was structured unless there has to be an overall change where then what will happen is the entire degrees, the entire degree will change. So the moment we talk about it has to have a specialization, it will no longer remain like a chartered accountancy course. The ICI comes under an act of parliament, right? Yeah. So then it will need a permission from the parliament and the government that do we want to change the entire course? Yeah, right. So currently we look at there are some subjects which are in that you would want to develop your niche in terms of that. There are a lot of students typically, let's say an example, who do their articleship only in direct tax. Correct. So that is what they are doing. They're studying of course other subjects as well. Now the question becomes of course is that should they then study all the other subjects?
Absolutely.
But a lot of times, student is yet not prepared that he still wants to do only direct tax, because after 2 years of articleship now, which is now 2 years, he does 2 years of direct tax and then he's like, अच्छा मुझे direct tax आगे नहीं करना. Exactly. Correct. And if he has studied only direct tax, then what will he do? He's stuck for his entire life even after doing the CA course, which is the most difficult course. So it gives you an overall thing and then you pick and choose, because see anyways, you become a CA, let's say if you do not clear in first attempt, right? Let's say at intern and final, you still end up clearing like a second, third attempt. Still at the age of 24, 25, you're a chartered accountant. True. You're going to work for the next 30 odd years till 55, right? So these are these 5-6 years where you're trying to explore, you're trying to study everything, and then for the next 30 years
you figure out where do you want to stand for yourself.
Is something that I would generally suggest.
But again, coming to the old point, कि आजकल this is real numbers which ICI has issued recently, that पहले 60% of fresh chartered accountants was getting to practice.
Yes.
Because there was a scope for it.
Correct.
Today, it's 60% are going to industry.
Correct.
So, and that is a declining trend.
True.
So we'll see in the next 5 to 10 years that number will keep going in terms of industry.
Correct.
Industry again will come with specialization in the long run. Is it because of specialization, or is it because CAs are becoming risk averse with the increasing regulation oversight of their governance? आप experiment कर लो, that's a backup plan.
आपके CA डिग्री के हिसाब से आपको जॉब ज़रूर मिल जाएगी.
We were conscious in terms of that, that friend के साथ idea bounce off कर दिया, and we both were smart people. I take credit for that today for both of us.
A lot of students come like this. अच्छा सर 2 महीने में ट्राई करके दे देते ना.
क्या जाएगा?
But what happens is because then you get stuck with it.